of what we're doing in REM
Hmm.
is exactly like
Hmm.
the brain state that we do in our waking state,
Hmm.
except for the fact that in REM, certain of our motor networks are frozen,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
that we don't, jump off the balcony or
Yeah.
something like
Whack
that.
our sleeping partners.
So, so I started. I mean, that really had an impact with me. And then what I did was I carried that into the daytime practice of just looking out and saying, "Wow, this is my dream," and waking up inside the daytime dream.
Hmm.
Having those moments of stepping back from my story and my involvement,
Beautiful.
and that kind of stuff. And then I had a conversation with uh, a disembodied spirit, and I was talking about dreaming and lucid dreaming, and he reinforced exactly what you're saying, which is that we're dreaming all the time. And the difference is that during our waking state, we can we're we are in relationship with what he called the golden dreamer. And then when we go off to sleep, that dream state gets passed off to the nighttime dreamer, the blue dreamer.
Hmm.
And so there's a conversation between the two, but it's all within the context of being a
That
dream.
I really like that because you could relanguage this. And this is where we can all be creatives. Like instead of saying, okay, I'm in waking state or this is my waking state mind, you go, well, I'm the daydreamer. I'm the daydreamer.
Yeah,
This is me. I'm the daydream. And then there's the night dreamer, right? But like, and then it's like you're languaging it to match with closer to what might feel like the fundamental reality of what's going on. I love that.
yeah, yeah. So I found that really helpful. And then with respect to the practice this week, the induction, I did it, every night, and I started getting some um, vivid dream recall that I was able to record in my journal.
Fantastic.
Um, Somewhere along the way, I read, or I remember, rightly or wrongly, reading that it's more important to just recall the dream and get it down there, and that this isn't so much about interpreting what the dream might mean. It's more a question of recording it and then looking back at various patterns that might be there or something like that.
That's
So,
that's a great
so
question. Yeah,
I'm looking for clarity
sure.
on that. At
That's
this
a really
point in time,
it's
I
an
just feel really good about getting it down on.
well, I think so. Celebrating the vividness of the dream is a great first thing. Adam, I think you froze. I don't know if it's just for me or can anyone else see Adam or is it no? Oh, he's back. Okay, great. So, Adam, speaking to, I think the question that's going to impact everyone here, which is a great question around, okay, what is the dream journal for and what are we doing it for and what are we paying attention to? And I think you can think of this as like there's multiple roles that a dream journal can play depending on your emphasis. So, for instance, in the context of building a relationship with the dreaming mind, writing down the dream does two things. It shows you're paying attention. You're like, I care. I'm listening. I want to know. And then if you decide, for instance, to do some symbolic interpretation, that's out of the act of being like, I really want to spend time and understand. And so it's more like a relationship building experience. When we move into like the more like the leveraging our journals for lucidity, we'll start more to look at our journals for the patterns, for the dream signs, for things that are giving us signpostings of what our internal dreaming night dreamer is like, so that we can be really effective in how we do our lucidity inductions. But you can see it kind of both ways. Like there's a fundamental building the relationship aspect, which is what we're working with right now. And then it's like, wow, look at all this incredible data that we're being given. That if we, the daydreamer, can intelligently engage with it, then we're going to start to see, okay, cool. Like I shared on Friday for those who were there. Every time I have a dream where there's a toilet in public and it's in the middle of a cafe, it's a dream sign for me. And I can use that sense of discomfort or weirdness and tether that so that I get lucid. Like there's ways we can start to use and spot tones and
Mm.
signs. So it's both, yeah. And we'll work with that more like when we get to the induction side of things, we'll start to layer that in. But for now, think of the dream journal as primarily being about increasing that relationship, which means the vividness of dreams. And like Jill was doing, like maybe spending some time being curious and using the symbolic language to engage with it. Thank you, Adam. Beautiful.
Okay, one other question I'd like to
Sure.
throw out. I use an app called Dreamcatcher
Hmm.
to record I did it with paper for many years, and then I got or someone suggested it. I'm just wondering if anyone else in the group uses that app or any other app.
Dreamcatcher app.
Um,
Yeah,
I
if
find I
anyone's
find it really,
if anyone's using Dreamcatcher or other apps, please feel free like put in what you're using in the chat. I'm definitely I'm using Apple Notes because for whatever reason it's just easiest. Judith uses Elsewhere. Adam, I think I've lost you again. World
yeah.
Within, amazing. Okay, cool.
I'm going to switch to my photo and
Okay.
cut down on the bandwidth
Okay.
requirement.
Well, thanks so much, Adam. It's good to see you. All right. Um, so just Theo, I will jump to you and then Tony will come back. You'll be first in line when we jump in. Hi, Theo. Oh, sorry, I muted you again. Go ahead.
Unmute. There we go. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for everything that you're doing to help us illuminate our dream world. I have an awareness around the fact that one of the tools that you gave me or gave us about preparing ourselves for the night practice was to lie on my side and then begin the preparation. And then after my preparation to move to my sleeping position, it really worked. So what I'm curious about now is when you talk about the symbolic language, and maybe I don't even need to take space right now because you said just a second ago to Adam that you're going to bring this into our conversation later down the line, but I don't quite think I understand the extent of which I myself can create that symbolic language
Right.
because in my curiosity around the dream, I'm trying, no, I'm not trying. It's almost like I'm not naming the experience based on my assumptions of what that was. For example, if I notice that it's a reoccurring dream, I'm just accepting, oh, this is a recurring dream. And being curious about it is still this sort of quagmire for me. I don't know what that really looks like, but maybe that's exactly what you will be talking about, and I don't need to
Let's no,
take.
let's speak to it a little bit now because over the next few weeks, this is important for us to be exploring the symbolic register. And I think it's like the classic thing of sometimes, especially in this phase, it's about not having answers. And that's really icky for the conscious mind. We're like, oh no, but when I want to work with my dreams, I want to extract the meaning of the dream. I want to
Mhm.
make it make sense to my mind, and then I can point to things. Part of what we're trying to do with the relationship is sort of softening that by almost being like more, maybe it's just asking questions like, okay, I have this recurring dream. I wonder why it recurs. What are the recurring elements? What's the recurring tone? And just being like kind of open-mindedly exploring. And you may not have answers for all of it, but where we can really help ourselves here is by recording, by paying attention, and then just kind of almost like showing an open-ended interest. Like you would with a friend. Let's say you had a friend who had a hobby that you just didn't understand. Like, let's say, I mean, like, here's a good example. So many people love surfing, and I just don't. Like, I really don't. I've tried it. And so when I have my surfing videos, I'm like, so tell me, like, what does it feel like to you? Like when you're surfing, describe what it feels. I'm like, or like, and then what's the greatest challenge? I'm just asking curiously because I know I don't understand yet. And so thinking about being in that relationship with the dreaming mind where you're not like interrogating them or forcing them to change, but you're just like open and curious. So maybe a good practice for you is for the dreams. Don't even bother answering them. Just see if you can come up with 5 questions and write the questions down and then just let it go.
Love that. Thank
Yeah,
you.
of course.
Thank you. Okay.
Amazing. And Tony, I will leave you. I won't leave you. I will come back to you. I'll leave you as first. Amazing. All right. And then as we were working towards the end of last week, I sent a little message out to everyone about, as we're beginning this as a more serious integrated container, just starting to notice with no judgment, what resistances or subtle blocks might we experience as we start to do this? And so I wonder if you would put it in the chat. Did you notice this week any kind of subtle resistance? It could be procrastination. It could have been, oh, I'm too tired to do my induction tonight. What am I supposed to be doing? It could be, oh shit, I didn't actually get time. I didn't make time to go listen to the Power of Inductions audio. It could be, I slept in late 3 times and didn't do my dream journal. Just again, just curious, open-minded. What did you notice anything? Yeah, Sophie, great. This kind of doubt. I'll never be able to get lucid regularly. Pamela, when you're worried about other things, you notice the closing of your mind, which blocks the process. Absolutely. Procrastination, Michael, right there with you. Yeah, and I think, forgetting in the evening, most of the obstacles and the resistances we face to these practices, whether it's right now or later, they're really common. And that's why I want to address them now, because what can happen if we just run headlong into, okay, do this now and do this and do this and do this. If again, the soup's not right, if the tomato pepper fish is sitting in the gazpacho, when you serve it up, you're going to be like, this is really weird. So working first with a really good sense of humor around what these obstacles are. And I really like working with the Buddhist hindrances, the 5 hindrances. I know many of you are practitioners and have had experience with, the Buddhist lineage. And so thinking about the hindrances they spell out just as a way of sometimes noting or tracking, And so thinking of like grasping. And when I think about grasping in terms of our practices here, it's things like when I get up first thing in the morning, I really want my coffee. And so I kind of could really skip doing some of the things that I know are great for my morning in order to go for the pleasure, right? So this is where we get pleasure oriented and we do things we think we want, but we actually give up things that we know are really, really important to us. Or this could be grasping in the sense of we wake up and we didn't have a lucid dream. And so we're really frustrated. We're like, oh, I didn't have any dreams last night. Oh, that's our grasping, right? So thinking about where we like get our little hooks in. And then aversion, the opposite, where this is maybe where we feel this sense of, oh, I don't want to do my practices tonight. It's too hard. I'm too tired. It's too complicated. I don't know. And we create all these excuses, around like this feeling of like resistance we have. For some of us, it's like, I'm a bit afraid what's going to happen if I open up to my dreaming mind. What if I'm incapable of this? All the kind of fear and even frustration, anger, aversion that comes up. And then laziness, which I really like the modern interpretation and dialogue around this idea of, laziness is also busyness. I think for most of us, it's actually our type of laziness is sometimes a overcompensating busyness. I'll give an example. It's so embarrassing. Even after a decade of practice, there are days where I wake up and I have an aversion to doing my meditation. And the way that I get out of it is I go and I do the very important pressing admin that I need to do. Oh no, I have to get up and make sure that, but that's complete nonsense. I'm just using that sense of busyness to avoid something that I'm feeling discomfort around, right? Agitation. So this is where our anxiety, our worry, our fear, getting looped can really become an obstacle, whether that's about our capacity to practice or, oh shit, I don't have time today, whatever it is, that sense of agitation. And then of course, doubt, which is such a sort of sneaky, insidious one where we go, well, I just don't know if I could do this, or I don't even know if this is really real or a dream. Is this whole thing just a big shared group delusion, you know? Um, and so just knowing that, you know, these obstacles are we all share them. And because we all share them, because they're predictable, you'll all experience this at some point in your practice that you can just go, okay, cool. If I know what the hindrances are, if I know and I say, listen, obstacles will come up in my practice, and then you appreciate the obstacles that we're working with are very often the most helpful clues we have around what we need to work with. I am so grateful for my obstacles because, like, when that comes up, I can see, oh, wow, okay, I have this kind of doubt, fear, agitation, grasping, whatever it is. I have this in my system, and it's creating like a subtle obstruction. And if I work with that skillfully, if I turn towards it with like love and compassion and interest, and I work with it skillfully, which is what we're going to be learning and working on together today, then I can transform that. And that becomes the immediate and direct doorway into whatever deeper level of practice I'm looking for. And more than, you know, just being on an aspirational linear path of learning, working with the obstacles that come up is actually usually the most direct way. And I always find it interesting, like humans, we are so hilarious, aren't we? We're like, no, I'm climbing the mountain like this. An obstacle comes up and goes, this is in my way. This thing is stopping me from doing what I want, achieving what I want, being who I want to be. And we try to get rid of it versus going, this is the thing that's going to allow me to transmute and transform and become whatever it is that I need to get there. So reassessing our relationship with obstacles. And today we're going to look from it first from the perspective of, you know, some belief work. Beliefs about dreaming, beliefs about ourselves, these things can be so powerful in terms of how they can support us, but also how they can stop us. And so, you know, I'll speak my one of the most helpful processes I ever worked with is a dear friend and mentor of mine called Shelley Lefko, who's a wonderful woman. Her and her late husband created like a process called, I think it's called the Lefko belief elimination process. And their whole life is dedicated to this work of helping people see the beliefs we develop, especially 0 to 7, and see how they kind of unconsciously rule our lives. And even if we consciously, you've seen someone do this, right? I want to have a happy, healthy relationship with a nice man and a nice woman, da da da. And then they're always choosing the opposite. They consciously want something else, but all of their beliefs, love is difficult, love hurts, I'm not worthy of love, anything sitting below the surface, they're just working against themselves. And that unconscious momentum almost always wins. And so we're going to play a little game. We're going to go through some beliefs, but first, it's often helpful to know, how do you know if a belief feels true to you or not? Because we're not talking about, do you consciously believe this anymore? We're talking about kind of like the next layer down. This is kind of like the subconscious, unconscious programming. Because all of us here consciously want to be lucid dreamers, work with our dreams, integrate our shadows. You guys are badass. I know that. I've read your applications. But in the body, sometimes it's a different story. So I want you to do this with me now. Yes, I'm going to say something and you're going to say it out loud. And I just want you to notice when you say it out loud, how does it feel? So I want you to first just say what your name is. So like, my name is Mia. Now say it, your name. Okay, notice how it feels. My name is Mia. Now I want you to say that your name is Mia. All of you say, my name is Mia. And notice how that feels in the body. Some of you are laughing. Excellent. I want you to say yes. I want you to say no. Okay. I want you to say, right now, I'm learning about lucid dreaming. I want you to say, right now, I am a blue monkey. Now, just like, now you're laughing because you're like, it's ridiculous, right? But this is what I'm saying. There's a sense of like a felt sense, and I hope you'd notice, you'll start to see a little bit of it where you'll feel like, when you say something that your whole system believes is true, there's a kind of resonance. And then when you say something that your system doesn't believe is true, it's like a slightly different resonance. And the more you can kind of become attuned to this, the better a self-explorer we can be. And we're going to now do this in the context of our actual dream beliefs. So I'll give you a little scale. This is a happy, healthy way to do this. You can see the scale here. So I'm going to say some beliefs. You're going to repeat them out loud. And then you're going to take a quick note on a piece of paper or on a computer, anything. You're going to take a quick note on a scale of 0 to 5. How true did it feel? So 0 is like utter nonsense. That was like how it felt when you said, I'm a blue monkey. You're like, what? That's like you're saying it, but you're like, this means nothing to me. So that's utter nonsense. A 3 would be it feels somewhat true. And a good sort of measure here is like something that you don't consciously believe. Like you're like, I don't feel like that's true. Like I know that's not true, but you feel like a little bit of resonance in the body. It's like, you know it's not true, but it still has like some felt sense of truth. 5 is like what it was when you said your name. You know, and you feel it to be true. Yeah, my name is Mia. My name is Judith. My name is Adam. My name is Tony. So 0 to 5 is the scale. We're going to do this pretty rapid fire. So get your pens ready. When I say the belief, and you maybe even close your eyes for this. You might have to peek to write it down. But when we do the actual repetitions, have your eyes closed, paying attention to how your body automatically responds to what you're saying. 0, nothing. 3, somewhat. 5, totally true. And then just taking little notes from like each one. You can just like a one, boop, boop, boop. Okay, ready? Repeat this after me. Lucid dreaming seems easy for others, but hard for me. 0 to 5, how true does that feel for you? Saying this out loud once I've said it. It's selfish to spend time focusing on my inner world. 0 to 5, how true does that feel? If I really let go, I don't know what might show up. Dreaming is volatile and unpredictable. I can't trust it. It's good to make sure you're saying these out loud after I say them. When you speak it out loud, you'll kind of get a sense for whether you feel like that's true. If I dream too vividly, I'll wake up feeling unsettled or drained. Other people need me to be grounded, not lost in my dreams. I'm too tired at night to do more work on myself. Dreaming is a luxury. If I fail at this, I'm going to feel really disappointed. I've started too late. It's probably too late for me now. I'm too busy to do my practices consistently. I go too deep, I might lose touch with reality. And the goal here is not to not have any of these beliefs, just by the way. It's about beginning the curious exploration around, is there anything kind of sticking for you, any doubts or anything that you're like, wow, that's actually something about that kind of does feel true. It's going to be a guide. It becomes our best little treasure hunt of clues of how we can do this preliminary cleanup work in ourselves to be like really clean and clear. Like if you're beginning a new relationship with somebody, but you still have, you've got an emotional hangover from your ex-partner, it's hard to really show up to the relationship. And so we're being responsible and going, oh, is there anything that I'm bringing into this that might obstruct or get in the way of like really being able to joyfully and freely and powerfully interact with my dreams? I'm curious, anyone notice there's usually patterns too, by the way. If you might have noticed a pattern in what felt true or not true. For some people, it's a pattern towards a sense of not being sure if it's possible for them. For others, it's a sense of, oh, look, like I kind of get stuck thinking that I'm too busy, I'm too tired. You'll usually get a little sense of what. Now, I'll put these slides up as well. So if you want to come back to these beliefs and just see like which ones were popping up for you, you can do that. But those are the obstacles. And of course, the obstacles are clues because we have antidotes. It's like I live in Costa Rica and, we have snakes and they're poisonous snakes. Yay. And if you get bitten by a snake, they tell you that one of the most important things you can do is make sure someone catches the snake, right? Because they need to find out what was the bite. And if they know exactly what bite it is, they can give you the exactly correct antidote. So knowing what our obstacles are allow us to work with correct antidotes in a more skillful way. But there are two, what I would call like super antidotes that do address most of our doubts and our fears and our issues. The first one, which we won't really go into today, we'll go into it next month, is really around this sense of heartfelt motivation. When we're coming up against the friction of like, I'm too tired, I don't want to do this, it's annoying, I'm slightly bored, I'm procrastinating. Like, again, really feeling committed and motivated can do a lot to help with that. For every single person here, there are things that you are so committed to, things that you would just never not do because it mattered to you. So cultivating that. For now, we won't go into the exercise today. We'll go into it way more in depth next month. But just for today, just to take let's just take 30 seconds and thinking about, most of you have done the heartfelt motivation exercise with me before. So whether it's going back to that or whether it's just tapping into what do you feel is your deepest reason right now for doing this work? What is it that excites you about and it feels important to you about doing this dream work? And just take like 20, 30 seconds to write. It could be just one sentence, it could be 2 words, but just something that kind of captures that. Next month, we're going to be working on this idea of the Bodhisattva self, the extraordinary self, and our motivation plays such a beautiful part in that discovery process. Because it's one of the things I think that motivation can really clear up where we might get swept away in bad habit, especially, or in doubt as well. So the second antidote, which is what we will be focusing on today, is, something that I think we often overlook, again, because it's so fundamental. And even things like procrastination. Think about what procrastination is. We often think, it's because I'm lazy. Well, kind of, but not really. Often what's sitting underneath the procrastination is like something in your system feels a sense of resistance to what you're doing. And that resistance doesn't come out of nowhere. There's usually underneath that sense of felt resistance is often fear. It's often a fear of, it could be fear of failure, it could be fear of the unknown, it could be this sense of doubt. But often our procrastination is really just a protection response. And so much of our subtle obstacles are protection responses because with dreaming, we're going up and opening ourselves into some of the most intimate and I think, uncontrollable aspects of ourselves. And so the second antidote, which is incredibly powerful, is just creating fundamental safety. Really creating a sense of fundamental safety in ourselves so that whatever fears our system has around dreaming, you're able to regulate and create a sense of safety. And when you're feeling safe, it becomes so much easier to do the practices and to do the things. You feel excited, actually. You start to go, oh, this is really cool, instead of feeling the sense of like, oh no, this kind of like icky resistance. And you can think about safety as like a sense of capacity, like your capacity to metabolize and be with anything that comes up. I love this. This is a really great analogy, right? Because safety here doesn't mean like, I'm going to make the mind perfectly safe. I'm going to make myself perfectly safe. You guys heard this great little story where there's a guy and he's walking barefoot through the woods, and he's going on a hike, and he wants to cross over, and he's been walking for a few hours, and he comes to this big field of sharp spiky stones, and as far as he can see to the left, it's just this big, almost like a river of sharp stones. As far as you can see to the right is like a river of sharp stones, and it's like 40, 50 meters across. So he starts trying to walk, but he's barefoot, and the sharp stones cut his feet. And he's like, okay, no, I can't do this. It's too much. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna have to cover these stones with something soft to walk on. And so he starts going to the forest and getting leaves, and painstakingly he puts the leaves down over the stones, making like a little bridge. And he's working on it. He's made now like a meter, and he tests it okay, and he's like working, and 4 hours go by, and he's made a couple meters of this little leaf path. And then another man comes along, also with bare feet. And he goes back to the trees, and he comes back, and he takes the leaves and he wraps 5 leaves around each foot, takes him 2 minutes. And with the leaves wrapped around his feet, he walks across the stone path. And that's the difference here. It's like trying to make our minds a safe place by removing anything scary is like trying to cover all the sharp stones of a river with leaves. Learning how to have a strong sense of capacity, where you know that anything that comes up, you have the courage, the compassion, and the power to metabolize that. That's putting shoes on your feet, right? And what we want to do here is we want to learn how to put shoes on our feet so that as we go into the dream world, we are not terrified. We are not terrified, not because something scary might not come up, but because we know we can handle it. And so, with this, I created what I used to call the ECR, the emergency compassion response, which I now call the ACR, the automatic compassion response, because what we're going to do here is create a tool where we are going to practice and wire what it means to have something that we learn how to bring a sense of safety, and how to work with difficult states so that if something comes up, we know how to do that. And for those of you who are familiar with polyvagal theory, you'll get this. We're going to do a guided practice today it's actually pre-recorded because it uses music too. I'll do the practice with you as well. And it's the practice you're going to use this week. So we'll do it all together today so we can kind of experience it. But I want to explain how it works first, just so that as you're listening to it, you're like, oh, right, that makes sense. For those who are kind of psychologists or have done any polyvagal training, this will look familiar. But you can think of this from like a nervous system state, right? So when we think about different quote unquote challenging experiences, anger, fear, depression, they're actually different sort of activated states or deactivated states in our nervous system. So here, what we call yellow is the activated state, sympathetic nervous system state, fight, flight, fear, anger, anxiety. You know this feeling in your body because it has like faster heartbeat, sweating, agitation, right? It's like activation. The red state, the deactivated state, which is the dorsal vagal nervous system, this is like shut down, freeze, feeling overwhelmed, procrastinating, depressed, disassociating. This is the feeling when like you just fully like shutting down. And so when we have some kind of stress or some kind of something triggering a response, depending on kind of how you're wired or your history, you can go into kind of either of these types of responses. And the trick is not to not go into these responses. We're human. But what we can learn to do is how to regulate back to this green state. Green, and it's really thinking green at the heart, connected. This is ventral vagal nervous system. We feel safe, social, open, coherent, curious, compassionate. And when we are using and working with our automatic compassion response, that's where it lives. Our automatic compassion response is deeply grounded in this sense of green connection, compassion, and openness and curiosity. So what we want to learn to do, and we don't want to do this when bad, quote unquote, bad things happening. We want to prepare ahead of time. We want to learn what our green state feels like. We want to tether that to your automatic compassion response so that you're using something that makes you feel really connected, happy, safe. And then you want to learn how, if you are feeling a state of agitation, how to connect the agitation into the green. If you're feeling deactivated, how to use that green state to connect into the red. And what happens, we're not trying to like fix or change things, but by wrapping those states in compassion and connection, it can transform. This is so important for the dreaming, because when you go into the dreaming mind and you start doing any kind of work, even just simply being lucid, you want to feel confident that, like, if you come across a dream figure that's scary or suffering, that you know exactly how to relate to that. Or if, let's say, you have any fears around dreaming practice in general, that you know how to connect to your sense of safety and security to power that. So the practice we're going to do, you'll see, we'll start with just creating a basic sense of safety in our bodies by lying on the ground. So the first few minutes of the meditation, we're actually going to be lying on the ground and really just creating safety in the body. Then when we come to the seated posture, we're going to first start powering up the green. We're going to charge it up, you'll see, by connecting it to strong, connected experiences and memories. Then we're going to bring in some yellow. We're going to bring in a memory from the last 2 months of something that was challenging. We're going to connect them. You're going to bring in a memory of something that made you feel kind of helpless or sad. You're going to connect them. And this practice helps you to charge up the green, but practicing what to do when these states come up. So I want to do it all together today so that as you work with this, you want to do it 2 or 3 more times during the week. You kind of know what you're working with and you know why. Now, in terms of the actual ACR, today I'm going to give you one. You, as part of your work this week, will actually come up with your own specific one. But you can choose from 3, and I'll put them in the chat here. Choose whichever one feels best. So either I am safe, I am powerful, or I trust myself, I trust this moment, or my heart is powerful enough to hold it all. So just take one of those 3. If you already have one that you work with, you can work with that. But if not, just choose whichever one of those kind of feels like it's most resonant. And then we're going to do this together. So just first of all, make sure you've got somewhere you could ideally lie down. It's just for a few minutes on the ground. It could be on a couch or on a bed or just on the carpet. Put a little blanket down. We're going to do this, like I said, we're going to do the exact pre-recorded training that you'll work with. This is the full version. It's 16 minutes long. There's also a short version I've uploaded for you guys, which is 12 minutes long. So this is the full version. We're going to practice together. I'm going to practice with you. So I'm going to drop onto the ground. If anything happens, someone just yell, okay? All right, let's do this. Everybody on the ground. Everyone got their little comfy positions. If there's nowhere on the ground, you can do it sitting up, but I recommend if you can find a little posture. All right. We're going to start this meditation practice. I'm going to do a thumbs up if you can hear this. So find a comfortable position on the floor where your body can make full contact with the ground. And start by laying on your left side in a comfortable position, curled up, head supported. And gently close your eyes. And starting first by just noticing where your body makes contact with the ground. Really allowing all of your attention to be drawn into that sensation of contact with the ground, like water drawn into a sponge. Just feeling if there's any part of your body that is contracted or resisting. Just allowing gravity to help it melt. Imagine the body just gently melting into the ground. Feeling that stable sensation right beneath you, holding you, loving you, protecting you, safe, stable ground beneath you. Just like the infant lies on the mother, the good mother, the loving, attuned, protective mother. It's allowing yourself to fully relax, fully let go. And then just gently, very slowly, just turning onto your back, staying in contact with the ground, and then turning onto your right side. Allowing this side of your body to really sink into that stable, safe contact of the ground. And taking a few deep breaths here. With each exhale, just allowing the body to soften a little bit more into the ground beneath you. Safety of the ground, stability of the ground. Let it be a felt experience in the body, not an intellectual concept. Feel the safety and the stability of the ground holding your body. And then just very gently on the next inhale, just allowing yourself to breathe yourself up into a seated position. So with each inhale, just gently pushing yourself up a little more, but keeping that sense of connectedness to the ground. Staying connected as your legs and your feet stay connected to the ground, but allowing the rest of the body to breathe up into a comfortable, seated position. Now, as you're breathing up, just feeling the spine naturally rising. And as you're breathing out, just feeling the body still naturally releasing into the safety of the ground. Breathing up into a sense of inspiration and capacity. Feeling how the heart floats at the very center, gentle and light and open, perfectly balanced between your sovereignty and your humility. And now here, bringing to mind your automatic compassion response. And just allowing yourself in your mind or out loud to just repeat it 3 times. And now just bringing into your awareness a memory of an experience where you felt completely safe, where you felt completely held, so much so that you were able to relax, maybe to express yourself, to feel playful, complete safety. And bringing that memory into your body, allow that sense of safety to be lived again in the heart space and see it as a glowing green light in your heart. Letting that sense of safety fully emanate through your body. And when it's feeling nice and strong and you can really taste that sense of safety in your body, I want you to repeat your ACR 3 times, staying connected to the memory. Beautiful. Now bringing to mind a memory of a time where you felt filled with compassion, filled with so much unconditional love. It could be for a pet, for a child. Maybe it was an experience in meditation or in ceremony where you felt connected and compassionate to all sentient beings. Bringing in that experience of unconditional compassion into the heart space and breathing that into your whole system. Beautiful, strong, compassionate heart. And now, saying your ACR again, really fueling that ACR with this sense of compassion. And lastly, bringing to mind a memory of a time where you felt incredibly powerful, strong, capable, able to do hard things. Maybe it was something difficult that you overcame with incredible grace. Maybe it was really holding your boundaries. Maybe it was having such profound impact on the people you love. Maybe it was being willing to stand up for and choose the path that you believe in. Thinking of something that really helps you to experience those times where you have been in your power and allowing that sense of healthy power to flood the heart in that green light, allowing it to saturate through the whole system. And then repeating your ACR 3 more times, infusing it with that sense of power. Yes, I can. Yes, I can do hard things. Yes, I can do good things. Excellent. And just gently letting that go, but staying just gently connected to that sense of compassionate, connected power at the heart. I want you now think back in the last couple months, thinking back to a time where you experienced some activation in your system, some stress, some anger, some anxiety, something where you noticed your system went to yellow. Just gently bringing that memory and that situation to the forefront of your mind. And allowing yourself just to gently tap back into what that felt like. We're not going to stay here long, we're not going to indulge it, but just allowing yourself to feel some of that activation. What did it feel like to be in that moment? if you got a really clear feeling of what that situation is, I want you now to put your hand on your heart. And I want you to repeat your ACR. And as you're using your ACR, I want you to feel and hold that situation fully, and sending and wrapping that whole situation and all of your system in that green light. Repeating your ACR now 5 times. Imagining that green light mingling with the yellow activated space. Beginning to turn it green. Allowing that sense of compassion and connection and power to fully love and see and embrace and accept that situation. And now just letting go of the situation and coming back, just saying your ACR 3 more times, just focusing purely on the heart, purely on that sense of connected, compassionate power. And now imagine a situation from the last couple months, something that made you shut down, made you procrastinate or feel sort of dissociated. It could be something you saw on the news, something that made you feel helpless or hopeless. It could be an experience you had in a relationship. Anything in the last couple months where you felt your whole system just starting to shut down or disassociate. Just allow that memory to come up. And again, gently allow yourself to tap into the felt experience, knowing that it's safe, knowing we're not going to linger here, but just feeling into what did that feel like in the body. And once that felt sense of the situation is in mind, again, just hand to heart, repeating your ACR 5 times and really wrapping that whole situation, all of its energetic components, wrapping it in the power of your compassionate love as you repeat your ACR 5 more times. Allowing your compassionate heart to fully see and feel and love and embrace whatever is there. And whatever is ready to be transformed will transform naturally. And just releasing that situation and coming back to the heart. Repeating your ACR 3 more times here. And as you're doing these last few repetitions, I want you to breathe in all of that safety, all of that compassion, and all of the power from all the good experiences from your life, and really supercharge your ACR. Taking one more deep and intentional breath, letting everything go and drop back down to the safety of the ground, always there, always holding us. Just giving gratitude for our capacity for practice, our capacity for transformation, and the incredible capacity we have in our hearts. Just in your own time, coming back to your spot in our Zoom circle. Oh, right. Beautiful. You guys have seen in that, that practice is it's a training exercise. So we do this. And the reason why in this week I'll be asking you to do that at least 2 or 3 times more, as you see, what we want to do is to create something that becomes almost like a immediate access way, a way of immediately accessing and triggering the most powerful, compassionate part of who we are. And to do that pretty rapidly and often under pressure. In a dream, you need to have it as an automatic compassion response. And the automaticity comes from practice and from wiring. So in that practice, you'll see we charged it up with memories of safety, of compassion, and of power. And they're really, all of those aspects are really important. And when we practice charging up the ACR, it's by doing that. And by the way, with this practice, like once you've got the handle on it, you can do it unguided. But what you're really wanting to do is to have the experience of doing the reps, like any skill, right? If you do the reps and you charge up your ACR so that when you say whatever it is that you choose to say, the lesson for this week will be helping you to create and choose one. But let's say you're working with I am safe, I am powerful. Every time you go, I am safe, I am powerful, it's tapping you into all the experience of reps, all the associations of energy and momentum that you've built. So when you come into a dream and there's a nightmare figure, I am safe, I am powerful, I am safe, I am powerful, and the state gets activated, the dream transforms. But if you haven't practiced it, right, it can be a little more challenging. It's like if you want to perform a song, if you don't practice the song, if you're practicing on stage while you're performing. And the reason why we do the bringing up an activated state, deactivated, as I'm sure you can see, is we want to practice using this while in the face of something uncomfortable. The easiest way to do that is to do it intentionally within a container of practice. So sitting down and going, I'm going to do this intentionally. And then the next step, which you'll see in your instructions, will be to use it in the moment, waking state, like moment to moment to moment. So as triggering situations, even if just slightly, right? I know most of you guys aren't having massive dramatic blowouts every week, but it could be subtle frustration, subtle disappointment. We know our systems pretty well. When you feel that kind of either an activated or a deactivated state, straight to the ACR, wrapping that situation in love, breathing that in and practicing it like that. That's what creates the automaticity. And that's what makes it something that becomes powerful, not just in your lucid dreams, but in your non-lucid dreams too. And it builds a sense of safety because the stronger your automatic compassion response, the braver you're going to feel because you're going to become more and more and more and more confident that no matter what you face in daytime, in the dream time, going through people are terrified. Sleep paralysis is a great example. Teaching anyone who has sleep paralysis how to use an ACR changes everything because they use it and then the relationship to sleep paralysis transforms and now they're popping into a lucid dream. So this becomes an across the board practice that I cannot tell you how foundational it is. So this week you're going to be working on creating your own and really charging it up and practicing rewiring those different states. I'd love to take some questions around that, and Judith will start with you. But if anyone who would like to ask questions about the practice, please raise your hands. We can explore that now as well. Hi, Judith.
All right. I'm
There we go.
unmuted, right? You could hear
Yes.
me. Great.
Perfect.
Great. Wait a minute. Okay. Yeah. I had a dream last night, and that's why I wanted to share it because I think it has to do with my resistance, my main resistance or fear. I was exhausted when I woke up from this dream. This morning, the whole day I was kind of like, felt like somebody hit me over the head in the dream, and it's kind of classical. I'm sure other people have had dreams like this. I was a student in a class in a university. There was going to be an exam the next day. I was totally not prepared. I was actually exhausted in the classroom. I had my head down on the desk. The professor was kind of like, I didn't think you were going to be this type of student, you know. And then two men in the dreams said they were going to help me. And the one said, yeah, I have got all the notes and everything, and you guys just have to contact me. Then I wanted to look at a paper, and I just found this little scrap of paper. Then I saw it was already written on. Then he scribbled his name. I couldn't read it. Then I said, I've got to find another piece of paper. Meanwhile, this older woman comes who's kind of working with the professor. She's very worried about me, you know, and then I'm just feeling miserable. I feel like, oh my God, I blew it. You know, I actually named the dream Blowing My Chance, question mark. I felt like I blew it. I knew I also was teaching a course myself at the university and I hadn't finished it somehow or another. Yeah, and I woke up like, whoa, okay. This is really, I mean, I was thankful then too. I said, boy, the dream is really hitting me really there, okay, hitting me where it hurts and showing me, you know. Um, yeah, I'm just kind of like, okay, there's a lot of fear there, fear of
Absolutely.
failure.
Absolutely.
I mean, I admit this week when I was reading some of the things, you know, and somebody got, I think, lucid or whatever, then I thought, oh my God, you know, we're just beginning, folks. You have to get lucid right away, you know. Oh, terrible, I'm not lucid. You know, you're springing out there. And I was happy for them, but there was a part of me like, oh boy, I better get my fast shoot. How can I do this? How can I get faster, you know? How can I just go fast, fast, fast in the fast track, you know? And then my dream says, yeah, the examination, you're not even ready for that, lady, you know. So,
So what do you, so knowing the practice we just did, for instance, and having feeling like, oh, like that feeling, that sense of like, I need to perform well, I need to do well, I don't want to fail, oh my God, I'm a failure, like thinking into that feeling. When you do this practice, I'd say to you, like, bring that up, like work with that dream and bring your
mm-hmm,
love to it. Because we
mm-hmm,
like this
mm-hmm,
is your version, Judith, but I promise you, like we all have our version. And what we don't want to do is go, oh, it is just the worst having to face my bullshit in the dreams. It's tiring. I don't want to do that. Instead, if you're like, oh, I know that when I have a challenging dream, I can hold it, I can digest it. And then we become almost as excited for when we have challenging dreams for as we have like quote
mm-hmm,
unquote good dreams, because we know
mm-hmm.
that it gives us an opportunity to be in this kind of transmuting relationship with it.
Yeah, well, that gave me, I mean, the hope when I heard you said too that are obstacles, and I believe that too. I mean, when I
Yeah.
counseled people, I also always said that when they had a real bad problem, I said, hey, you know, this is really it. You know, you're being given a signal from the universe. You're going to grow now. Go for it. You know, but of course, it's,
When it's
you know, when
yourself, right?
when you're doing it
I
yourself,
know.
oh boy, you know. But I mean, that's why I wanted to share it because I needed a little bit of,
Totally. We
right, so
hold
that
that
I
with you. Yeah,
go for
beautiful.
it. All
Beautiful.
right.
Thank you,
Thank you
Judith.
so much.
Kiara. Sorry, I think I'm pressing the wrong buttons here. Kiara, hi.
Hello. That was interesting, Mia, because I don't feel safe. I look around and there isn't any safety, and the body isn't safe, and people die left, right, and center, including children, and there's
Mm-hmm.
type of horror going on in the world. But I can relate very, very strongly to my heart is powerful enough to hold it all. But for me, the practice is much more being able to live with the fact that there isn't any safety.
Mm-hmm.
Where is safety? No.
Yes. So Kiara, I want to say this.
Yeah.
This was my exact same reaction. Like when I first started these safety practices, especially with the ground, I was like, Mother Earth. I'm like, Mother Earth wants to kill us. What are you talking about? Volcanoes and earthquakes. The ground isn't safe, right? Like I was like, what I would encourage for all of us and for you is, and this is a little deeper, but because you can't access relative safety easily, I'm going to really encourage you to do this. explore fundamental safety. And this is safety beyond death. In this relative samsaric universe, yes, we are all suffering, and there is no fairness. There is no, I mean, the stuff that happens here is a horror show. We're on the wheel, right? And to think too, if you've had any experiences that go beyond this particular realm and connect you into the sense of the fundamental safety and the fundamental sense of non-duality and awareness behind all things. And to have this feeling of like, this is really hard, but we have this, even when it's not okay, it's okay. And
Yeah.
it's not like, it's like everything is perfect and everything must change. We still are working in the world. We don't look away from horrors. We don't try to make things better or spiritually bypass it. But we hold this, this brain-breaking juxtaposition where we're like, wow, it's both. And so if you struggle with the relative safety, I want you to find like the safety of like the soul, the safety of the unbreakable part of yourself, and resting into that.
Yeah.
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 And then when the relative sense, your capacity, your soul's capacity to be with the polarizing discomfort of relative existence, powered by this fundamental sense of connection and unity and safeness. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
No small thing. Just that, Chiara. Just that.
I hear you. I know it's true. I feel that's truth. So thank you.
So maybe for you with this practice, and again, for each person, I really encourage you to be your own sort of scientist here to explore, like what does create a sense of safety. So for you, when you're doing what would be the equivalent of the groundwork, might be thinking if you have a practice that connects you to that greater sense. What you just want to do is you want to set this up so that you have filled your reservoir of feeling connected and safe.
Yes.
So we're not kind of like putting on the ACR and then like dredging things up, like we're going to create okay, cool. There's some fundamental safety here. And then we can do the powering up work. So however you want to do that, do that.
Okay. Thank you.
And let us know. And remember during the week, just ask questions. If you can't find it, whatever, we can work together to figure it out.
Thank you, Mia.
Beautiful. Thank you. Sunyata, hi. Great to see you.
Hey, Mia. Good to be here. The synchronicity is just awesome to feel into this week. I was really, struck by building a relationship with the dreaming mind. And I noticed was really called to kind of like build this lovership with dreaming mind. And that it really helped me get in touch deeper into this resistance and fear. And I realized if I come at dreaming mind, like I'm at a point on my path that if I'm the one doing it, if I'm creating the relationship, if this is for me in any way, the resistance is there. The fear actually gets bigger. And it stops the process. I don't feel the relationship anymore. Like so much of my path at this point is to allow the wisdom, to allow the relationship, to receive the relationship, right? So if I'm the actor in any way, life is just like, forget you. Like, this is not going to happen. Roadblock, roadblock, roadblock. And so I have to allow it. It's like really been opening my heart and leaning into the trust, feeling the fear immensely grow, but also the trust of what's possible if in allowing the wisdom, allowing the power, allowing the lovership to just kind of take over. And it's the fear is growing just along with that, but so is the courage, and so is the devotion, really. It feels like I'm sinking in deeper. I'm recalling more dreams. Nothing lucid yet, but it's like I feel the relationship kind of coming back to life. And this ACR is really powerful because it's the synchronicity. It's so cool to kind of see these line
The
up. I
field.
love that you're talking about this. Yeah. That ACR, like I trust myself, I trust this moment, like whatever is happening, there's wisdom here and I can attune to that. And Kiara, I really resonate with that, like not feeling safe anywhere. And one of my mantras is like, how do I feel safe not feeling safe? And this more fundamental reality of wisdom and love and compassion. It's like this next layer of how do I actually get there? And this is like in working with relationship in this way, like I'm a relational trauma therapist. So it's like I get relationships and it's like, but something's been off in the relational direction, I think, directionality. Like I've been the one trying to create the relationship and I have to let the relationship come to me and kind of, do with me what it will. So
that.
yeah, a lot of really turning my heart over to this deeper trust and wisdom. So
God, I mean, just fantastic. Scary.
Yeah.
Scary. I
Yeah.
hear you. Like,
Yeah.
scary, but fantastic.
And fantastic. That's just it. It's like, oh, the fear doesn't disappear. But it's like something, but there's an opening and a deepening and but the fear is right. The power of the fear is right there too. And I think it is what it is.
What I love in your share, what I'm really sensing for all of us, I mean, this is the path of, with the fear, we're not getting rid of the fear because, we're all the way up to death. We're facing fear because existing creates fear. Like just being in existence creates a fear of loss, a fear at the basic sense, a fear of like, this thing I am is going to like disappear. Never mind then all the subsidiary fears, right? And so I love this because by being willing to say, you know what, I'm not going to force this, control this, make this happen. I'm going to have the grace and the capacity to just allow and receive. And that's huge.
And really actually trusting the fear in a way. It's like this fear is guiding me. This fear is telling me, it's like the hindrances. This fear is telling me where the block is, where the disconnection is from the greater love, greater wisdom. And I want to see that. I so desperately want to see that. So, and be with that. So,
and what blows
I'm
me
partnering with fear in a way, like trusting in the fear. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about this. I mean, I laugh so much because like, you can look at this two ways. Sometimes we look at like compassion and the heart and surrender as these like wimpy things. I'm like, oh no. Like the Toltecs talk about lucid dreaming as the two qualities you need are discipline and courage because it's a warrior's path. And it's actually like what it requires, the strength and capacity it takes to be open and to stay open, to be open with fear. These are not like wishy-washy things. This is true strength and this is true power. That's actually, it's like, this is what a backbone with an open heart looks like in practice. And it's like the most badass bodhisattva thing we can do.
Yeah. Ooh. Yes. Yes.
So yes. I see you. I'm cheering you on.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks, Sunyata. Beautiful. Oh, my friends. Tony, wait, we didn't get back to you. Tony, would you like to jump in and share? I promised I would circle back to you. I don't know if you're still, yes, we're hanging out. I'm looking at you. You're good? You're happy? Yes, you're doing charades. I'm gonna just bring you up. Like how you doing, Tony?
Excellent. So you notice I'm wearing green, eh? So that's pretty cool,
Is it different?
The heart chakra.
Oh, green. I see you're fully embodied. All right. You're halfway to rainbow body at that point.
One that speaks to me, you talked about where does it resonate in your body, right? And that's one thing that's really changed for me this past week is getting up and writing with a pen. So I've been using the Temenos app and I record it in my phone. And so the last 2 nights, I've got 5 dreams, and it's way too much. Robert Johnson had this thing where he says, do these 4 steps, and the 4th step is to ritualize it and do something. Like to take a pen and physically write them out. And then, Adam, before we're saying about looking for patterns, every time, it's been 10 days in a row now where I'm doing this, there's like one message that's coming through. And so, like, just this past week, it's been increasing this relationship with my unconscious, my dreaming mind. And so, like, it's been like a year and a half of, like I got 1,000 dreams on my phone and all this, and it's just too much. But if I write them out and I'm circling and drawing little pictures and putting arrows like this, then it comes down to something, and it might be like one word. And yesterday, the word talisman came to me twice. One was from Ryan Hurd, and then I was reading another dream book, and like to get a little something that symbolizes it, and to do something physically to realize it. So like that meditation that we did, and to get it in your body, and man, it's just so rich. It's really happening for me, and thank you for what you're doing.
Oh, my pleasure, Tony. I'm so happy to hear that. I can't wait to hear more of how it goes. Beautiful. All right, so before we jump off, I want to just take you through our setup for this week, just so that everyone feels clear on what the practices will be. So let me just share my screen for one momento. So as last week, same page, you'll find it under month 1. So week 2, obstacles and opportunities, and your practice this week could be this today. If you have time for it, it's just an 11-minute training, or read the transcript. The training is around the automatic compassion response, specifically how to create a response and then how to work with the guided practice. And, the key thing here is to give it a first best pass. And this week, if you want to tweak and iterate it, so like come up with something, try it, tweak it. But by the end of this week, I would love for you to have a pretty solid ACR in place, because of course it's momentum over time. It's reps. So you've got this week to kind of workshop it. But yeah, listen to the training, create your ACR. And then between sort of now and next call, I want you to do it a minimum, that exercise we did, a minimum of 2 more times. It'd be great. Do it as often as you want. But see this like reps. If you go to the gym once a week, you get one effect. If you go to the gym 3 times a week, a different effect. So see this as like working your system. You're also welcome to self-guide. So if you feel confident, you're like, okay, I get the basics of this. I'm creating safety in the body. I'm charging up my ACR with power, compassion, safety. And then I'm working with activated memories, deactivated memories to practice like being in powerful relationship and helping to create safety around discomfort. And then what you're going to do is you're going to work with, if you feel like you want to, if you're ready for it, to work with that in the waking state too, especially where it comes to our obstacles, right? So let's say you're feeling resistance to doing a practice. Cool. Just take 2 minutes to just put your hand on your heart and just do your ACR in relationship to that resistance. And you don't even have to be like, okay, now I'm going to push through and do it. I'd rather you practice just bringing the sort of like compassionate response as an automatic response in relation to anything. So that way you're starting to be aware and attuned of your obstacles. And if we create enough safety in our bodies, like it does become easy. So prioritizing working with that. And of course, being curious about if you are getting stuck in anywhere in terms of dream journaling or inductions, being curious about that. But you're going to continue your dream journal practice in the morning and continue doing your induction practice at night. So with your induction, working with inducing dream recall, don't even worry about lucidity right now. Like this, there's no, we're not in a rush. We're going slow by slow so that we're building the foundation up. So an induction that's all about, tonight I remember my dreams, or my dreams are vivid and magical, or, tonight I open to the relationship to the dreaming mind. Whatever induction you want to work with that you feel is going to support building that relationship. So dream journal, inductions, and then, 2 to 4 more times this week doing the guided practices. You'll see the training is here with the transcript. Then you have a full guided practice. That's the one we did together. That's 16 minutes. And we have a short guided practice that starts from sitting, and that's 12 minutes. So use whichever practice you'd like. yeah, but that's really the practice this week. And again, share in the group chat if you have questions, if there's anything you want clarification on, just pop it in there. Let me just check I haven't missed any important last minute questions. Oh yeah, ACR, automatic compassion response. And the reason I call it an automatic compassion response, when we charge this up and we practice it, I will kid you not, with enough practice, just like how you rewire any habit, compassion becomes the habit. So like often in my non-lucid dreams, I'm not even getting lucid, something scary comes up, something uncomfortable, and my instinctive automatic response will be my ACR. I'll literally start doing the Ho'oponopono prayer, even though I'm not lucid, because I do it during the day when I'm feeling uncomfortable or afraid or stressed out. If I'm noticing like, cool, I'm feeling a bit stressed, I say second, I'm sorry, thank you. I do the repetitions until I bring that green online, my system calms down, automatic response. So automaticity requires practice and rewiring, but it's incredibly powerful. So, thank you, Sonia. Can you tell I'm a former high school teacher? I'm a little bit of a pedagogical nerd. So, all right, friends, so beautiful to see you all, and I look forward to hearing how practice goes this week and to seeing you next week. Next week, we're going to start going into the exploration of life as a dream. And because it'll be a 2-week experience, we're going to do practice consolidation and set you guys up for 2 weeks of a little bit more extended practice, beginning to bring some lucidity induction in. So, all right, all. See you later.